Our politically incorrect segment tonight, a national controversy was ignited after a United Airlines passenger was dragged from an overbooked flight. A security officer wrestled Dr. David Dow out of his seat and dragged him down the aisle by his arms as Dow kicked and screamed. I'm sure you've seen the video. What isn't as widely viewed is this video. Governor Christie telling us the government should fix this problem.
That's why I think DOT, Federal Department of Transportation, has to stop the overbooking rules and stop giving the airlines latitude and take a breath and examine this entire thing. Because I will tell you, passengers are fed up, and they should be.
With me now, editor-in-chief of Ricochet.com, John Gabriel. John, good to see you.
Government's going to make air travel great again. Don't you understand? They've done so much good for us with the TSA and all the federal regulations that made them kick this passenger off the flight.
Right, absolutely awful. I mean, United is awful. I don't think anyone needs me to sit up here and say that what United did and what this official from O'Hare Airport did was wrong. Obviously, it was wrong. But for government to step in and say, oh, we'll fix it, we can make this better, that's way scarier to me.
Yeah, completely. And one of the reasons they needed the crew on the flight, apparently, at least this is United's story, so take it with a grain of salt, but that they needed this crew to get to the destination so they could fly another route that they had to do. They should have, of course, chartered a plane. It would have been cheaper than what they ended up, or what they're end up going to pay with Dr. Dow. But United, what's bad is the video is horrible. You can't act like this in an age of everybody having a smartphone in their pocket. But also, too, the customer service attitude of the CEO. The CEO just won Communicator of the Year in March. And now he's, we decided to, I can't remember, reaccommodate.
Right, I was just going to say, I guess he hadn't introduced the term reaccommodate to his marketing team at that point when he won that award. No, I want to touch on a point that you just said. I think that's actually an advantage of living in the technological age that we live in. Citizen journalists are able to just record things as they happen on the spot. This type of abuse, and it was abuse that happened at the hands of this official, the security official, it's broadcast. He's held to account for it, whereas it might not have been in times past. That's good. And like I said, I guess I don't understand why people are fighting all over social media about this. Who doesn't agree that that everyone in this situation was wrong?
Yeah, that's the thing. He should have gotten off the plane, but United handled this horribly, and they should have just kept upping the amount of money. First off, don't seat the guy if you're going to kick him off a few minutes later. That's got to be awful. We've all been in a situation where we're on a plane, we're sitting there, and then we're stuck there for an hour because of mechanical issues, and you have to all get off the plane. So sitting the guy down, he's one step closer to home. He's coming all the way from California. It's miserable flying these days. Everybody hates it. And the air crew, you just feel like they just despise you because you're making them fly with you. So it's just a horrible experience, and this is just the latest horrible example of this.
Right, I think this is an example, too, of where government overregulates. They stick their nose in where they don't belong. I mean, I believe that the limit that airlines are legally allowed to offer passengers to buy them out, take over their seat, and bump them to a different flight is like $1,300. I bet if they were able to offer $2,000, $3,000, some of those people who had originally said no to $400 would have said yes, but they don't have that option because government regulates it.
Exactly, and getting government more involved is just the wrong thing to do. United has been punished by citizens pulling out their smartphones and filming it. That's far more effective than anything that DC could come up with, some crazy new bureaucratic program, maybe create a new federal agency against overbooking. We don't need to do that. We don't have the money to do that, and United is going to change their practices, and every other airline is probably panicked when they do overbooking and saying, wow, we better get some policies in place, so this never happens to us. And yeah, up the money we can pay, sweeten the deal with other gimmies that we can give to them, just give them free tickets if we need to. But I think this citizen journalists have ended up helping this situation and resolve this situation more than government could ever hope to. Right,
and this is such an unpopular opinion. Some people did not like that I said this opinion, but I looked at the numbers, John. Overbooking, it's terrible if you're kicked off a flight. It's awful. I feel panic when they announce that it's overbooked because I'm worried I'm going to be the one that's kicked off. But I did some research on United. So they fly 143 million passengers a year. That's how many they flew in 2016. Of those 143 million passengers, only 3,765 of them were involuntarily bumped from their flight or denied boarding. That's about 10 a day out of 391,000 a day who fly that. I mean, 1 for every 39,000 people who fly. It's a pretty good solution in a sense, not for that one person, of course, but that's a pretty good solution so that they can make sure the flights are actually filled up so that they can keep the price of the tickets as low as possible for us, the consumers.
Right, right. And if you look at the business practices they're doing, this is why so many people do this overbooking, because it's almost a necessity. Once fuel prices started rising, say 10 years ago, they need to do this and make sure that every plane is full so they don't have these empty seats that are just, they're getting no money for those. They just want to make sure it's extra full. And you have a lot of people who have more money than sense who will buy tickets on a couple different airlines at a couple different times and only show up to one of them because they have so many frequent flyer miles and so forth. Where United really fell down on this is, of course, getting the cops involved to drag this guy off literally, and also just they're horrible. I've worked a lot. As of 5 years ago, I worked in the private sector my whole life, and working in communications and marketing and related field. It's like, I cannot believe they were this ham-fisted in how they responded to this. Every company should have a crisis communication plan, and this is how we handle it. This is how we make things right. And they definitely could have handled this so much better. And they're paying the price.
Well, yeah, and the best part of the fact that they're paying the price is that it's the free market that's going to hold them accountable. Right. It's not the government that's going to do that unless Governor Christie gets his way. John, last thing, this is also very unpopular, and I think it's almost, it's the right thing to do that we're overlooking this because Dr. Dow was the one who was victimized because he was physically hurt by their bad behavior. But his behavior before that, his behavior before he got beaten up, it was actually quite poor too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. If people would just act like adults, this world would be a much better place. You could definitely handle it more gracefully than he ended up doing it, kind of locking himself to the seat and refusing to leave. You would think at some other point, if they could offer more money, they could just get some other, the person next to him say, look, I'll take the cash. I'll take the next flight out in the morning or later tonight. So yeah, he did not acquit himself admirably. But really, I'm sure United deals with a lot of problem customers. All of us have been in business and have that difficult customer. You need to handle it a little more professionally than how United did.
And all of us have been on a plane where there's a difficult fellow passenger too. It is not pleasant. I'm glad the free market is holding them to account.